Let's hit it with the intro. Welcome back to the Ridgeline Hunting Podcast, brought to you by Phelps Game Calls, with your hosts, David Crane and David Sandana. All right, we're back from break. Dave and I actually went over to the Maven booth, made a little selection.
Those are nice.
Yeah, we're looking forward to getting them out. And then they were saying, well, if it's nicer out, you can head outside now, but it's nighttime, so we'll do it in the morning. Yeah. So we have Matt. He's from Ghost Scream Hot Sauce.
Correct. Ghost Scream Hot Sauce.
Matt Sisson, and we've been enjoying his company the last 3 days. We've had some extensive conversations, mainly about culinary.
Yeah.
And we were tying that in with hunting because we're talking about hunting here. And
when in Rome.
You were a chef.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be the owner of this company.
Yeah. So I was in the culinary world for since my 20s. Before that I was a competitive bodybuilder, so that's what first got me into eating and taking care of myself, because once I started getting into competitive bodybuilding, my mom was like, no, I'm not cooking for you anymore. I got three others.
This is getting too expensive.
It's just like too many rules. She's like, screw these rules. You learn it yourself. And so that kind of got me into the chemistry of cooking, trying to figure out how to make things taste good that didn't have, let's say, salt or fat, and trying to create those flavors without adding those things. And so that got me into the chemistry of cooking. And, I was going to school in Austin. I grew up in San Antonio, Texas. And I was kind of disillusioned with what I was going to do. I was going to be an RTF major. And
what is that?
A radio, television, film.
Okay.
So I wanted to be a newscaster. And I had a buddy of mine. He was like, dude, I'm telling you, man, San Antonio's packed. I don't know if you're going to get any jobs there. He said, my trick would be learn Spanish and become a Spanish sportscaster down in like Monterey. And he goes, I think that it would work because, a white boy speaking Spanish would be like really cool.
Little niche, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But didn't come to fruition. Anyways, I was kind of getting disillusioned, and my dad was had to deal with a client out in Modesto, California, and so I came back from spring break, down in like South Padre Island, and I came back early, and he's like, hey, I got an extra ticket to San Francisco. I got to fly in. Do you want to go with me? And I said, yeah. So I got nothing going on in school, really. I was just trying to figure it out. So we went to San Francisco. My dad, being a military guy, was, had a whole regimen, had a whole schedule set up for us. One of the things he mentioned was like, hey, we can go. We're going to be here in SF for a few days. We can go to Golden Gate Park. We can check out, Haight-Ashbury. We can go down to the beach. We can go to the Culinary Academy. We can go over and check out Ghirardelli Square. And I said, well, what's this Culinary Academy thing? And he said, well, your mom thought you might be interested in checking that out.
Here's another clue for you, right?
Yeah.
We're done cooking.
Yeah. So I went there, and man, I freaking fell in love with it. I just love the hands-on approach. Seemed really artsy, and I'd always been kind of creative and always been kind of into that. My mom and my grandmother were excellent cooks. So I went there, and I lived in San Francisco for 8 years and became a chef, So that's how the cooking part started. Traveled to Europe, worked in some Michelin star restaurants in Spain, Italy, and France. So I'd go home. Left San Francisco. Well, we can go back a little bit. I went and did a trip to Central America with my brothers. So we bought a VW bus in San Fran and drove from up to Portland, Oregon, and then drove down to the Panama Canal. And this is a VW bus. Yeah, me and my two brothers, and had a blast. It was crazy, but have crazy stories.
Would you do it again?
I would. Because I know the area pretty well. I know Central America, coastal Mexico pretty well. And it was fun. I learned 3 things. I learned how to speak Spanish, like, in la calle kind of Spanish, you know, that street Spanish. And I learned to work on vehicles a little bit and kind of knew a little bit more about vehicles and surfed.
Was there a reason why you guys took a VW bus? Or?
Because it was cheap back then, dude. I paid like $1,500 for that motherfucker.
Well, you know how they have, you know, like in Cuba they have all the oldie cars.
Yeah.
I thought maybe the VW because they had all the parts down there. If something happens to the car, you know, you got to get the parts available. And thought that might be a strategy.
Well, truth be told, I had taken a week trip there, a trip there for a week with a neighbor of mine, and so I kind of knew like some stuff. And I met some people who were like, well, if you want to come down here, you should definitely bring a car that they want, and they wanted like the old Nissan Sentra, and they wanted VW buses because, they had the parts there, and they do a lot of that construction. They can work on the vehicles there, and they use them as combis, you know, they use them as taxi cabs.
Yep.
Nice.
And so that's what we bought. It was a green one, but, you know, we figured they would paint it. And,
So you sold it when you were down there?
Yeah, we did. We lived down there for about a year, and eventually the mildew and the rot got to us. It was after like a wet season, man, you could not dry out. You were always like kind of shriveled. You always looked like pruny, had a little funk going on. I was like, we got to dry out, man. We haven't dried out. We've been like wet the whole time.
So when I went to Mexico, we were there for only a week, like maybe 9 days, and it was always sunny and nice. And then this one storm came through, and it rained like a waterfall, and we thought that was the greatest thing. But you're saying like, no thanks.
Well, yeah, when it does it for like 3 months straight, and like you're surfing, and so you get out of the water, and then it's wet again, and then the van's wet, and we were cheap, and we're like, thought we were in a camp the whole time, and then your sleeping bag gets wet, everything gets wet.
Sounds
you
like
get a scratch, and that stuff in the skin, it just never heals. You get like a little scab on it, and it's just seeping.
Soft.
Yeah, you're just like, just
Sounds
not
like
dry.
deer season to us.
Yeah, man. That
Northwest.
Yeah,
you guys were surf bumming it. That's what you guys were doing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So when did the hot sauce come to be?
Yeah, so, you know, over the years of cooking in all these different restaurants, I ended up being an executive chef, and one of my servers in my restaurant turned type 2 diabetic, and he came up to me and said, you know, Matt, I love your barbecue, I love your flavors. He's like, I'm really trying to be good on this, really trying to clean up my act. Could you make me a hot sauce that doesn't have any sugar and like real low sodium? Every time I look in the stores, everything's got high sodium, or like the salsas have sugar in them. He's like, I really want to avoid that. I said, yeah, maybe work something out. He's like, but do your kind of Texas style. So we made the original. Long story short, it's like 2 years later. If you fast forward like 2 years later, we won the Grand Champion Award in New York City, which is kind of like the Super Bowl of hot sauce competitions.
Nice.
And we won that in Brooklyn. And man, I figured out a way to just kind of quit being a chef and selling my hot sauce full time. So
yeah, and the hot sauce is incredible.
Thanks.
So each night, tell us what you got going on with your booth, because you got a strategy here. You set up, you got the chicken cooking.
Right.
We got some customers coming in here.
Yeah, we got these fishermen gold. They're like attacking the booth.
Yeah, watch them. Watch out.
Yeah.
So every day he gets the chicken thighs, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And you used some onions, a couple onions.
Yeah.
And some of the jam. Why don't you walk us through what's going on here?
Yeah. So it's like it's total smell-o-vision. So what we do is we brown the chicken thighs. I just brown that skin till it's nice and golden brown and crispy, and that fat that gets rendered out. And when I flip the skin over, I'll put the onions in there, and I'll cook the onions in that chicken fat. And then I'll brush a little of our sweet jelly on there, our Ghost Cream chili garlic jam, and let that onion cook down, and I'm blowing a freaking oscillating fan and just hitting them with, like, flavor.
And it works, too. Yeah. Not only does it work, if you ever have a chance to try the chicken, what we're going to do here in a couple minutes, we've been eating it every night, so we know it's good. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do a whole batch of smothered style chicken with that stuff.
Okay.
And try to see how that works down, you know, because that's incredible chicken. And the strategy behind getting that smell out there, you know, you're going to put some pounds on me.
Well, you know, the thing with that is, like, chicken thighs are so forgiving, you know, and they can cook, because, I mean, people are like, how long do you cook that for? Man, the whole freaking day.
Yeah.
Chicken thighs are, like, the most forgiving thing out there. Then we add the orange juice and soy sauce, and so that adds that kind of other umami flavor. It's kind of an adobo thing, you know. Up here, people kind of are familiar with that flavor, chicken adobo.
Oh yeah,
Super good.
yeah, we love it.
Yeah, dude, and that with like edamame and sticky rice, forget about it, dude. It's delicious. Yeah.
We were talking about, us being in the hunting background, we were talking about duck hunting the other day. We were talking about elk hunting,
Right.
and you brought up moose hunting.
Right.
And so you have experience moose hunting
Yeah.
and other types, but we were talking about how you would take a duck and use every part of it.
Right.
And I can't, you kill me with the vocabulary because
Right.
I'm not familiar with these terms.
Sure.
So you were talking about taking the duck thighs
Right.
and preparing them in a certain way.
Duck confit, maybe we were talking about.
Yeah, duck confit.
Yeah,
And
duck
so I told my buddy about it, and he was like, well, we cook them, but what is this? And I didn't even know the word.
Yeah, I mean, duck confit is this thing where, hey, don't throw those away, man. Those are spoken for. Thank you.
Good save.
Yeah, so duck confit is a classic French technique where what you do is you take those legs and thighs and you brown them just like I'm doing on, in the pan there. And then what you do is add effervescence or herbs, so like bay leaf, rosemary, thyme, garlic, shallots. And what you do is you cover it and simmer low heat in a duck fat. And so you're basically cooking that in the fat, and then what you do is you then cool it down after you cook it for hours, and that bone, the meat's going to fall off the bone. And classically, you just let it cool down, and what'll happen is the fat will rise and it'll solidify and get hard. And you'd let that sit overnight, and then what you do is you bring that back out and put it in the oven and heat that oil up so it just gets, it quits being so solidified, and you gently pull out those legs and thighs, and a lot of times back in the day you jam them into jars, add some fresh herbs in there, and then what you do is you strain off that oil and you pour it hot back into the jar and you'd can it,
Yeah.
and it holds forever, and that meat is like the best. I mean, it's like top French fare.
So the reason I asked is because I was intrigued by it, but also we're recording it, so now I know how to do it in the future.
Well, you have the
I'm totally
words.
gonna
You
do
can
it.
look that up, and I'm sure you can Pinterest that. It's just got such a, a lot of guys will just breast out those ducks because they're in a hurry. And, that's like 30% of the weight of that bird is in those legs and thighs. And if you can save those and pull those off and confit them, I mean, it's pretty versatile. That meat is super tender. It's got kind of like a jerky kind of texture to it, but you can pick that meat and you put it in a salad. You can make a quesadilla with it. Classically, you serve it with like potatoes gratin, which is a creamed potato sliced thin and then cooked in cream, and then with haricots verts, that French green beans. It's like a classic French look. You would see that, and guys just sometimes are just in a hurry and they don't want to take the time to like pick all those feathers off. But
It's worth it.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think that you should respect that animal. You should respect what you're doing there. You spend so much time on it. You should explore all avenues.
Yeah, we're totally about that. So what would this sauce, tell us how these sauces would be used with different type
Sure.
of game meats.
Yeah, so you were touching the ghost scream, the ghost truffle, and we've got 2 kilos of fresh black Oregon truffles in there. So, that one's super earthy. It's got that umami flavor. I love that one, almost like a steak sauce. A good little hack with that one is we'll do mayo, make an aioli, so mayonnaise and garlic, mince the garlic, fold in with the mayo and pour a bit of that in there, and you got what we'd call like a truffle aioli, kind of spicy truffle aioli, and that makes like perfect secret sauce for, let's say, elk burgers or venison burgers. And sometimes folks aren't like super down with like game meat burgers, but with that flavor, that effervescence of the truffle kind of takes over and hides that bit of gaminess that you might first get in that whiff of that burger. Sometimes that mustiness.
Yeah.
And that's super good. I like it as a steak sauce too, just like sear your steaks, sear your like your back straps or your tenderloins.
Okay. Now the jam, you were talking about a Northwest favorite is steelhead fishing
Yeah.
and salmon fishing. You're talking about this is the jam.
Yeah.
Using this as, how would you use that with the fish application?
Yeah, so with the jam, you can smoke. A lot of folks like to smoke their fish, and so you could do your classic wet brine, soak it in the wet brine, get that fish out, and then what you do is you want to make sure it dries. So you pat dry and let it dry so you get that skin on there, right? You want that kind of film, that skin that kind of forms on top. I would then brush with jam, a thin layer, then crack black peppercorns, then lay that on your smoker and let that smoke, and it's gonna kind of give you that Indian candy kind of thing, you know?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And if you do a little bit longer smoke on it, then you can cryovac that, and that will really last you for.
You're all right, Matt.
Yeah. It'll hold. You get some of that moisture out, so that you if you had it in your pack and you're hiking in, you got some days going. You're not get kind of some folks, if it's not dry enough, you get a little nervous. You're like, dude, is this gonna be good to eat, or am I gonna die here? As you get some sort of pathogen, or some bacteria might build up on it. But yeah, so you just it's kind of like candy in it. It's super good on even if you just sear the halibut, get a nice little crust on it, and then brush it, and then finish it in the broiler. But a lot of folks just love it on a block of cream cheese with crackers. You're sitting around talking with your boys, you're watching the game, you're kind of after the hunt, you had a long hike, and you're freaking dog tired. You just bust out a block of cream cheese, pour that over some crackers. I mean, before you know it, you got some calories in you, and you're like, I'm good to go.
That's what you're serving to us here.
Yeah.
And it's perfect.
Yeah. They say the jam's so good the radio won't play it.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, the show's ending for the day, and we're gonna turn this onto the YouTube and on the podcast after the event's over. Mm-hmm. So how would somebody find your product?
Yeah.
If they're not going to be at the show after they hear this?
Sure, they can just go to GoScream.com. You can find us there, on all those social medias. We're there, the Go Scream Hot Sauce. Go Scream on Facebook, all that stuff. We're on TikTok, I kind of got a little off of it a bit, but for sure you get us on the website, GoScream.com, and I'll give you a promo code you guys can share with your viewers and your listeners, and they can get 20% off their online order.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so more than pay for shipping. We're based in Southern California in San Clemente. We manufacture in Oside, so it's a little bit south for you guys. But who doesn't want a little kiss of that California sunshine?
There you go.
Yeah. This stuff is really.
Yeah.
I'm a hot sauce. I'm not an aficionado, but if I see hot sauce,
sure,
I'll generally just go, I need to try that because the flavors are different.
Mm-hmm.
But your selection is really wide, and it all tastes good.
Yeah.
And the jam, if you get nothing else, you have to have jam.
Yeah, you try it.
Have it, yeah.
Yeah, you try it and then you buy it.
So Matt, before you go, I have one question.
Talk to me, David.
So your choice of meat, right?
Uh-huh.
And then your sauce. What is your go-to favorite thing to cook with what you have?
Well, these are my children, so I love them all equally. Right.
But there's a favorite.
There's got to be a favorite.
Yeah, it depends on the day. Yeah, it depends on the application. But I've been reaching for that curry a lot, man. The Vindaloo curry is just this flavor that is unmatched. It's just so dynamic and so balanced, and it's thickened with organic coconut, and it's just something that you just don't find very often. That's just.
Now, what would you prepare with that curry?
If you keep it simple, egg salad, tuna salad, like if you were doing like an albacore salad, I love that's great with shellfish. Classically, curry's good with any shellfish, lobster, scallops, shrimp. You're just gonna add that little bit of that mayo, add that in some garlic, lemon zest, some chives, make a good dip with it. It's good on a turkey sandwich, great on avocados.
Very versatile.
It is, we try to cook with a lot of LOVE and try to add that in there so that you can taste it. It's not, we're not a commodity sauce, we're not just a standard, trying to make some money, and some guys will call it like a marginal sauce. We're expensive, but it's worth it. You get what you pay for. There's a lot of passion in our products.
In your education, your background, you got the Southwest, you got the Texas in there.
Right.
I think it all came together in
Thank you.
This product.
I appreciate that.
Super impressive.
Thank you.
Your knowledge shows. And I mean,
Yeah, us smelling it all day.
you
Yeah,
had me
sorry
at
for that.
you had me at
It's-
confit
it's-
when you said
it's
that.
beautiful.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, confit. I mean, I could throw some more French terms in there, but
He's
you
a
know,
step
I
above
try to
your,
keep
your
it
traditional
simple.
barbecue guy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's just half of it, you know. And
Yeah.
and I, being an avid outdoorsman myself, you know, I know how much time we spend out there in the field, and you really want that stuff to shine. And you know, if you got your loved one saying like, "How come you're not home? How come you're always out there in the field?" You know, you want to show them like, "Well, this is what it's about." And if you can give them something that enhances that meal and really makes that meat shine, man, they're saying, "Hey, when are you going back out there?" Remember you said that
Yeah,
to me
yeah.
the other day. You're like, "Yeah, exactly. When it tastes good and it looks good, they're like, God damn, when are you going back out there? We need some more of that."
Yeah, everybody has a bad story. Or a lot of people say the meat, this is gamey, right? Or this tastes gamey, right? And I've never really had that. But the preparation that you go through to get your meat and take care of it after you've harvested it, and you know, make sure it's cooled quick enough, make sure it's aged long enough.
Right.
We were talking about aging fish and all sorts of things.
Right,
You
yeah.
know, I'm like, holy smokes, this is like
That's-
a whole education.
Yeah, it's a new thing.
Yeah. But if you take your time, take your preparations right, you got good meat, you need a good sauce,
Right.
you're gonna get the Ghost Scream.
Right. I would say Ghost Scream is, you know, we're there for the outdoorsmen. You know, we're not just trying to put a margin on it. I'm out there doing it, you know. So to me, it's like you want to go with someone who it's versatile too. Like you said, it's something that if you had to take one thing out in the field, I mean, you're not taking a jar of mayo. You're not taking a bottle of ketchup with you in the field. Take a bottle of hot sauce, right? It's
Yeah.
going to go good with your eggs. It's going to go good with everything. If you can only take one sauce out in your pack, take a bottle of Ghost Scream, man, because it's going to go with everything.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Thanks.
Well, I appreciate your time. Matt Sisson with Ghost Scream Hot Sauce.
Yeah, man.
Give us the website one more time.
Yeah,
And the links.
so, you know, www.ghostscream.com. On there, you can find anything else, all of our other, you know, social media outlets. We're there. You can always kind of see us at shows. Always recommend you come out to one of these shows. You know, if we're there, you'll know. You'll smell me.
Yeah.
You'll smell me.
Yeah, at one point he was mad at the caramel corn guy because he was kinking his style. He had a bigger fan.
Man. It was like to have a little smell war.
That's awesome. Well, we'll put the link in the show notes. We'll have a discount code for 20%. Check out Ghost Scream. I know they'll impress you, and the flavor can't be beat.
Thank you,
That's
brother.
right.
I appreciate
All
that.
right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
All right.
Thank you, David. That was awesome.